Proceeding for the third session, I would like to invite Mr. K. Suresh Kumar to chair the session. He is a well-known artist and assistant professor in Department of Painting. He is known for his experimental work of art. He will be chairing the session while Professor Manohar Desai from Symbiosis Institute, Pune, and Dr. Radha Sinha ma'am from Mumbai and Dr. Nirupama Singh from Jaipur will be presenting their papers. So the session is handed to Mr. K. Suresh Kumar sir. Please, sir.
Hi. Good afternoon. I am extremely happy to be here with you all. This is one of my favorite area, calligraphy, especially traditional calligraphy. Each state we have different kind of languages and the calligraphy, and today we have in this section we have three we can say artists, professors. Professor Manohar Vitthal Desai from Pune, and Dr. Radha Sinha Mumbai, and Dr. Nirupama Singh Jaipur. So it seems like we have 1 hour. That means 15 to 20 minutes each of us. So okay, yeah. So I am inviting Professor Manohar Vitthal Desai to present his programs or project.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
The respected faculty members, senior authorities available on the platform. With the permission of the chairperson, I will start my paper presenting here. Basically, I'm full-time calligrapher. I focused on the calligraphy in applied art when I was in commercial art, 4 years degree. And during this period, I noted that calligraphy is a best application on painting. So I again did 1 more degree in drawing and painting. And that way I completed 2 graduations. So I feel proud to be here on this Department of Painting conference. And I'm presenting my window now. So my focus is to highlight the calligraphic style, as Professor Bhattacharya specifically highlighted that he is from epigraphy background. So here I would like to highlight that I'm a student of calligraphy, and calligraphy is my core area. So I always love to try with various types of tools, writing and experimenting, and that way I enjoy the calligraphy. So today's focus, I specifically tried to understand the writing system and the experimentation during the writing system, the Rajasthani manuscripts I noted. So beautiful art pieces I always find in the area of Rajasthani manuscripts. The combination of, as respected artist Viren Babu specifically highlighted, that the picture and the text together was, today's generation we feel like a art piece. In those days, definitely it was there for helping the other people to understand the literature, the text, with the support of image. But that way the calligraphy was strongly added in the manuscript page. So my focus, the Indian manuscript was largely focused on the dried palm leaves. The ruler Babur introduced paper in the period of 1520 AD, and he supported and introduced paper, and especially he also encouraged to start small factories in Rajasthan. The Mughal ruler, they contributed for this kind of invention in Rajasthan, and Raja Jai Singh II, he encouraged the paper factories, and he introduced paper making as a business to the Rajasthani business community, and that way paper was largely available in Rajasthan. So that is the, I think that is one more reason that we see excellent manuscripts in Rajasthan, as the paper was largely available in Rajasthan. And second thing, the paper quality, the kind of pictures what Rajasthani manuscripts, we note that they have beautiful paintings rendered on the manuscript. That was because of the surface also. It was nicely prepared surface for the drawing. So that was one more reason. So calligraphy on manuscript page, it is not only a writing, but it is a completely craftsmanship. As Professor Viren sir highlighted, even if we take this as an art, as a writing, then aesthetically, if you check, each and every letter character gives excellent feel and form. So that way, the letter characters are completely different than the regular writing. Here, I also noticed the design principles, what we follow in publication design, like the layout, the overall space, and all. The local folk artist, they also contributed for making the manuscripts colorful. They contributed with the help of illustrations. I recently studied one of the manuscript, which is again a Bhagavad Gita. The sample what Viren sir showed, the similar sample I studied, and I have good document with me now. The picture and illustration together. So that way it is a teamwork. So the manuscripts between 15th to 18th century, one of the sample from that I collected here. So to focus on the topic, the graphical elements in the manuscripts, they derived from architecture, textile, and the wall painting artists also. We've seen the Mughal impact strongly there on the manuscripts because the culture was strongly popularized by them. So the painting and calligraphy together was one of the invention and support the Mughal rulers they gave to us, and that was one of the area I studied. There is one more thing I highlighted here, that during the wedding ceremonies, recently I seen in Goa, during the wedding they give some craft pieces in the form of dowry, and those pieces they create from the village Sawantwadi, the wooden flat parts and other toys. So these kind of things they donate in the form of dowry. So here I recently studied that manuscript was one of the strong element in those days. The king's families, they used to pass on with their daughters to the next family. It was like a wealth. So that way manuscript became more strong in our country. So here I studied the manuscript letter characters. That was my main focus, along with the publication design principles. So the methodologies, I selected one page from Vichar Sutra, which is from 1647 AD, the letter characters and the overall layout. So I personally have the calligraphy background. So I tried these letter characters by practice with the wooden tool, feather tool, and I tried those letters for my documentation purpose and plus to experience and experiment. So the sample letter characters I created right now in this paper is with the Borum. So fitting the entire text in one page was very challenging, and that way the overall leading space, the space between two lines, the space between two characters was very challenging. And because of the ascender strokes and descender strokes in Devanagari, matras and ukaras, we noted that there is a less leading space. The text box was too tight, and because of that, many times these calligraphers, they experimented nicely to render the letter character without losing the readability, plus inventing a new form of writing a particular ukar or matra. So those kind of observations also I studied in this paper. So this is the page which I selected from the Vichar Sutra, which is AD 1647. It is from the collection of the Rangakanak Vimal Jnan Bhandar, Malwada, Rajasthan, and I collected from Shruta Bhavan, Pune. So I'm very thankful to these two libraries to support this research. So as in the beginning only I highlighted that I'm from both background. So if you check here, the slide also helps us to see the way I explained. Now the leading space means the space between two lines. This leading space is too less, and we have 13 lines written in this space. So that way it was very challenging, and because of this less leading space, there were matras and ukaras are very strongly fitted along with the letter character, and because of that we see some different kind of letter character forms. So this is left side margin, this is right side margin, upside and bottom side. So there is a margin space around the text box, and two red lines rendered to draw the grid where the text is fitting inside the grid box. So when we draw the letter height, here I understand all scholars and researchers, respected faculties, all are here. So as a student, I would like to highlight that 45-degree angle, if we hold the tool and we draw strokes to count the letter height, that way I counted the letter I copied from the manuscript page, one single letter, and I tried to calculate the letter height. So it is fitting in 7 nib distance. So if we count 6, then it might be slightly less. But here, this letter character, the horizontal line, if you repeat, then 7 line fits with this letter character. So that way I calculated. This process really helps to check the technical aspect of the letter character. Then for matras, the ascender strokes, here I tried to calculate with the 3 nib distance. So somewhere it is 2 nib, somewhere 2.5 and 3 nib also. It is because they are writing the text with less leading space. So that is why the matras, ukaras, they are very close to the letter character. If you check here, the letter character and the matras, they are very close. So to clarify this calculation, I supported this calculation with red color. So letter E, a beautification of the writing. Without lifting the tool, the writers simply render the horizontal line and simply finish the stroke with this rough-r. That is the beauty of Devanagari calligraphy. As Viren sir highlighted, instead of checking the technical aspects, better enjoy the calligraphical look and aesthetical look. So I really agree with that. And that way, if you check here, the calligrapher simply enjoyed to end the stroke in the horizontal line, continue with the rough-r. Check the beauty of this matra. Even here, the continuation of the stroke without lifting the tool, they completed the Velanti. So the characters which I showed, those are diacritical marks above the letter character. So this is the letter height and the above part where all diacritical marks are there. So I categorize this these families above and below. below letter character. Very interesting thing I noted here, that the ukar is almost inside the letter character. Almost inside, because they want to fit the two lines in minimum spaces, and because of that the ukaras also inside the letter character they fitted, and sometimes it is very difficult and challenging when we have the connected letters, ligature letters. That sample also I collected from the manuscript page. Fantastic idea of simplifying the letter character. Professor Prajapati in the beginning only highlighted that the simplicity, the simplification of the letter character is strongly noted. And here we have the best example, the word Kunda. In Devanagari, this circle is important to identify the letter character K, but because of the less space between the two lines of writing lines, there was less space for the ukara. So the designer, the calligrapher, simplified the letter character, the circle with the single stroke, and continued the ukara in the front side, so that the overlapping of circle and ukara together might be critical for the reading, and they simply molded the letter character. And in the new scholars, those who are not aware about the Devanagari script, I work with many foreign calligraphers also, and I noted this particular letter character they feel very difficult. Sometimes they call it Om because of the form what we see, and that way sometimes these letter character confuse the other people, those who don't have the language understanding and script understanding. Similar letter, second ukara fitted in the letter character, so occupying the more space from the top and ending here with the less leading space. The ligature letter characters, two letters together, when that kind of thing is there, again here when we have two circles, they simplified it and they simply rendered two K together in the same letter height. So this way, in digital, we might work with the program, but in writing, it is really challenging. It is very tough to fit two letters with these traditional tools. In a running matter, sometimes we feel that it is tra, but it is double na. The numbers, I copied all numbers together, as it was one of my chapter in my PhD, the letter characters from the manuscript of Rajasthan. So the beauty of letter character na, beauty of letter character 7, 8, they are completely different, and the new person might not understand these letter characters if they are not aware about the Indian numbers. So as Viren sir highlighted, as a student of calligraphy, I always look at these letter characters as simply symbolic forms. उनको एक चित्र की तरह देखता हूं, जिससे मेरा काम बहुत आसान हो जाता है. Prushtamatri, when we write word kshetra, the matra is here above the letter character. In the available manuscript sample, the page what I selected, I noted that for many words, the Prushtamatri, the matra is written in the front side. So that is the very important aspect I copied and noted from the selected sample manuscript page. So this is the word kshetra. Word re. So the matra, which is actually we rendered above, here in Prushtamatri script, it is rendered in the front. So the manuscript sample, what I studied is from Rajasthan district. The writing consistency, the system of specific writing with the traditional tool is one of the major notable thing. Some manuscripts are damaged, but still the entire country right now have the digital source available. So that way we have some limitations on the manuscript study, but still I feel the digital libraries definitely help. But still on this platform, I also highlight that many libraries, they are not ready to support the scholars to provide the digital good quality image. I repeat the word good quality. Sometimes they give a very low resolution image, which is actually not good for reproduction. Some manuscripts are available in beautiful illustrations. So I have some samples also here for comparison purpose. So in this writing system, the word Shubha, check the Sh, check the Him, the ascender stroke and descender stroke used entire space of the letter height. Another aspect in the writing system, check the system of writing, the grid, the layout, the numbering method, the justified alignment. To complete the box of the text, they continued the word till the end. The method of 2 to 3 point sizes together to depict some and highlight some particular form text, and the explanation with the small font sizes. Sir already showed one sample, but as a student, I collected some samples and I'm helping myself to explain the text with the support of these images. There is also one thing I always study, that some particular point, if the writer miss in the writing, the left and right side margin strongly utilized by them. Check here, the left and right side margin also utilized in case if some important point, if they recall, or some word they miss, even in the leading space, that particular text is composed and they try to help the reader to understand the particular point. So these are some of the samples which I specifically added here for my comparative studies and explaining the publication and writing system. Some sample written with gold ink, illustrations, the beauty of calligraphy, composing the letter characters. I seen both kind of illustrations. Some illustrations made by the professional artist and some might be with the writer only, or maybe from the team, but some illustrations are very poor, but still they are helping to understand the text. But some illustrations, they are excellent. They are almost like an art piece. So the textile impact, the way Rajasthani textile will look, that kind of impact is available here. The motifs and art forms, what they created is the impact from the surrounding aesthetical elements. I'm slightly taking fast as Professor Suresh gave me some specific time. So the illustration and the wall painting, this particular painting style, if you check the miniature, they are there with more fine-tuned lines. But the Rajasthani art, the wall paintings and the cloth paintings for storytelling, they are strongly impacted these illustrations on the manuscripts. Wherever they want to end the word, the particular space, it is written with red color. So it is again helping the reader to comfortably read the text. So that way I really salute those calligraphers, the efforts of changing the tool every time just to ensure that the reader comfortably read the text. Check here the coup, the sample which I showed. Table, rendering table, one sample, then ending the text with the pushpika, the single words, just to ensure that the overall box looks like a justified alignment. So that way they added the words Shri. So the conclusion, the text composition on the manuscript page was well organized and planned by the writer. The text was composed in the grid, and the margin space left and right side column was separated by red thin vertical lines. There is sufficient space kept for the margin around the text box. The text box was composed in justified alignment. The leading space was very less and tight, and because of that, the text box looks like an even texture. The diacritical marks above and bottom, they are almost close to the letter character. The numbers, the dandas, they are rendered with red color to separate it from the text and help the reader. The ligature, the connected letters, they are also fitted with the same nib height of 7 nib. That thing is very challenging. Prushtamatri script is utilized here to render the matra in the front side. The illustrated manuscripts sample show the aesthetic and artistic sense of the writer. Definitely it is a teamwork. So the group of artists and writers, they work together. Number 7 and 9, they are completely different than the current trends of writing. But aesthetically, if you check, these numbers looks excellent. The text written in the black, and it is with sufficient contrast. That is the very important part for the reader. And the numbers with red ink. Some painting samples I am putting here with the permission of the chairperson. So how I use calligraphy on my painting. So these are my artworks. I painted this on canvas. I sold this painting in one of the exhibition, but it was appreciated by many national and international galleries because of the application of calligraphy and the painting together. So it is inspired by the Jain manuscripts, but I rendered with my own way. So I'm completely blank with all these technical languages of ragas and various kind of religious things. I'm completely blank about it. I just rendered devotedly and people appreciated it. So this is written with round brush. This is one of the job I created for as a commission work. I'm not really an Urdu calligrapher, but I got the reference from the client and I tried to render it. Then we checked this with one of the faculty from Mumbai University, and then only we handed over the painting to the client. It is with Sanjay Khan, the director of Kurbani. Application of calligraphy on canvas. The spiritual paintings, the letter characters I simply play, and I would like to highlight here the International Calligraphy Museum, Russia. The entire calligraphy collection from the world they have with their museum, and I got invitation from them to display the application of calligraphy in painting, and because of that I got opportunity to visit this museum 3 times, and I represented our country and I gave demonstrations, live demonstrations, and I really enjoyed those fully filled auditorium with the calligraphy lovers when they were watching my demonstrations on canvas. So it's application of calligraphy on painting. This is written with the traditional tool. I have a good control on the wooden stick and feather. So I utilize this skill. It is an literature from Dasbodh. the Maharashtrian Sant. It is specifically about the calligraphy, how to write. This is one of the Boru written calligraphy, written with a wooden stick, and it is displayed in International Calligraphy Museum as a good sample for the traditional tool writing from India in Devanagari. When you write with the bottom of heart, that writing is calligraphy art. This line is very popular in international calligraphy field, and especially people appreciate the dot. Today, nowadays, we have Ganesh festival celebrating in entire country, and that time a simple dot fall on this particular C, and it depicted like a Ganesha. So this particular writing is with the metal tool, which we normally use for creating lines, but the line is purely popular. I'm really thankful to Deccan College Pune, as I'm student from Deccan College, as I completed my PhD in Deccan College to support this research. Shruta Bhavan Pune, who supports to provide the manuscript samples, the Rangakanak Vimal Gyan Bhandar, Malwada, Rajasthan, and most important, the Banaras Hindu University, Faculty of Visual Arts, the Department of Fine Arts, because they arranged first time such a conference which is purely focusing on calligraphy. Right now they are focusing on Rajasthan. I really appeal that you must try some other states also in continuation on the form of webinar, and many people definitely will get benefit with such a seminar. I'm also thankful to Symbiosis Institute of Design, as I'm a faculty member with them. Dhanyavad. So thank you very much, sir, for giving me opportunity to speak continuously.
Thank you so much.
Yes, with your permission, sir, I will stop my presentation.
Yes, please. Thank you. It was wonderful one. You already came to Banaras, we know that.
Yes, I always remember you, sir. The enthusiasm I seen, yeah. You are very enthusiastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So shall we go for next one? Dr. Radha Sinha from Mumbai. She will be the next. She will have her presentation now.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Suresh ji, and thank you very much to the other Suresh ji who has invited me for this. Allow me to present some ideas which I have. Actually, a little bit about my background, I must say, because I'm not connected with calligraphy in any manner at all. I'm an architect by profession and an archaeologist from Mumbai University, and also studied different things. Just I feel like studying, so I study. I've done history. I've done my PhD in history, even though I'm an architect, because I love history. So with this connection as my background, I must tell you that much late in life, I went to Assam. This entire paper is based on Assam. So I went to Assam after I got married. My husband was an Assamese. He's no more. And when I went over there in the late 1970s, I got married in 78. So at that time, the whole place was peaceful. We didn't have those andolans coming up. And it was a totally different culture. The culture of the people is so, you think that, oh, it is also part of India, so they are Hindus, so what? It's all the same thing, but it is not. And living there gave me such a different view of the world that I thought that when I get time, I will write about the culture. And much later, I got the time after I retired from service, and I straight away went back there. I said, I'm going to write about the culture of this place. And I started researching. And that was in 2004 or 5, something like that. was not so very complicated, like so very mixed up with the Indian culture like it is now. It was distinctive. You know, much the history says that in the 13th centuries, the Ahoms, they were from Cambodia, they're from outside India. They have entered Assam from very much in the corner of the northeast. And once they came and occupied the local people's areas, the tribal people were all defeated, and they established their rule. And because they were not Indian, they wanted to establish and to secure themselves from attacks by the Akbar's troops and all that. So they did not allow any foreigner to come inside Assam. If any of the Assamese people, they brought up somebody from outside, foreigner means out of Assam, anybody coming in, not only the person who brought him was killed, and the person himself who came from outside was also killed. So that's why you find this isolation. It's a characteristic of that region. Of course, much later, everything was open, but you study the culture and you come to know that there is so much to learn about this culture. Today, I'm going to talk about the writing part. When I was doing my research, I went to the Guwahati University Library, and there I met the librarian. He was Mr. Goswami, and he just started talking about those, writings of the Assamese people. They write their manuscripts. They wrote it by themselves, and they were writing since many years. It's not that they suddenly became literate when they became, joined with India. They had a great civilization, very ancient and very much linked with, in the 7th century AD, Huinsang has been there, and also Pana in his Harsha Charita has written all about the king from Assam, Kamrup, like this, and it was a very rich culture. So that was what I was talking with the librarian, and he started talking to me about many manuscripts written in Assam, they are written by the monks. There is a religion which is very peculiar in Assam. The whole of Assam was full of tribal people, and who were very much fighting with each other around the 13th, 14th century, because they were disturbed by the outside the people, the Ahom people who came and disturbed them. So anyway, they were very warlike, and they were killing and eating people, eating human flesh, etc., etc. So Shankardeva was a saint. He was born in the 15th century, and he was the leader of his clan, and his clan was Bhuya clan, the landowning Bhuya clan, and they happened to be sent to the middle of Assam to establish their clan. A new place was given to them, and he found that they're always quarreling with each other and giving no peace to anybody around. So he thought very deeply about it. He traveled all over India for 12 years, and he came back and he said that I must give them a culture and I must give them a religion. So this whole culture is based on what one man did, Shankardeva. He won soul by soul. He has, written manuscripts, he's written poems, he's written drama, he's written books, he's written prayers. He has evolved a whole culture in such a manner that the people can have a culture. Otherwise, they were cultureless, and that is why if people have no culture, they don't behave themselves properly like civilized people. So Mr. Goswami and I were talking, and the first thing he told me about, I'll read from whatever I has written. He told me about many aspects of manuscript writing by the monks. He established this monk order, and the monks were supposed to preach about the Bhagavad Puran. The basic is Bhagavad Puran, nothing but Bhagavad Puran. Like you said, it's the most important book, and all the writings was about the Bhagavad. He has translated the Bhagavad into the language, the local language, and he wrote the whole thing in a book. And that was the book which they consider as their holy book, and the monks, they preach it all over Assam. So that was the writing. And another great person I met was Buddhin Chandra Borphatak. He was a monk in the Satra. They have Satras all over the place. And monk in the Satra, who was the only person who was making the calligraphy. He was the only person who was writing the manuscripts. So I said, wow, this person is a great person to know. So I went to Onyati Satra where he was living. Old man already, now he's dead it seems. And at that time itself he was old, and he was telling, see, the knowledge I have, nobody has, and none of the youngsters want to even know about calligraphy, about how to prepare the background, how to prepare the sheets, how to write, make the colors, because it's just a forest area. No shop and nothing is available. I don't know when you're talking about Rajasthan, when you're talking about other places where the calligraphy, the books are written, the pothis are written. They have the source to buy all those things from the market. Here there is no source. Nothing is available. You have to derive everything from nature and get it ready for yourself, whatever you want to do. You even cloth, you have to weave your own cloth and wear it. If you want silk, then you grow the silk and wear it. And if you want to eat, then you grow the food and eat. And there's nothing available. There's nothing like shop, and there is nothing. You can barter with each other. I grow this, you grow that, we will exchange. That sort of a thing will happen, but then nothing beyond that. So in this article, I would love to share with you some aspects regarding the art and practical aspects of making the manuscript. Now, what the manuscript is made of? They are made of hasipat. We call them hasipat. That is the bark of the aloe tree. We don't have paper, but the bark of the aloe tree, two vertical lines about the tree should be about more than 8 years old. Should be a nice big tree, and then you cut to make two vertical strips on the sides, and you pull out strips, long strips of the bark. And you have to soak it in water until the bark becomes soft. Then with a double-edged knife, you have to remove the bark from it, and then what is left is that you have to cut it to size. I took one sample from the monk, Mr. Borpathak. I don't know whether you can see it. This is a hasipat. Sorry, I'll show you this side first. This is a hasipat. The parallel lines you cut, and then you cut it into strips like this, and you make a big pile of these strips. And what do you do with these strips? They are very raw, so you have to treat them, and it takes 6 months for just treating the manuscript. First, you have to dry them. First, you have to dry all these hasipats. Hasi, because we don't say so, we say ha. That is our the way we talk. We don't say Sharada, we say Harada. We always use her and we don't say sh. So these are Sasipat, it is written as Sasipat, but we say Hasipat. And Pat is leaf, and Hasipat means leaf of the leaf made from the tree, the aloe tree, the aloe tree. You know, the Muslim people, when they go on Hajj, because these trees are available plenty in Assam, they take the aloe tree pieces and they put it in their trunks, and they take it out and they sell it in Arab countries, because they have that ittar. They are the base from which the attar is made, the oil, the aloe oil, the black oil which is there inside. Even Bana in his Harsha Charita has mentioned that in Kumara gift to his Harshvardhan, they were bamboo cylinders full of aloe oil. Very, very expensive and very difficult to get aloe oil. They were given as gift by Kumara, the king of Assam, to Harsha. Written by Bana. Bana made a big list of things that Harsha had given. Harsha was given as gift from Bhaskara-Varman, who was also called Kumar. And in that he mentions there were volumes of fine writings on leaves made from aloe bark and of the hue of ripe cooked cucumber. Now, ripe cucumber, I don't know the color of ripe cucumber, but probably it is like pinkish white. If all of you have taken the cucumber and made a fat, big, ripe cucumber and cut it and seen. So this is not looking pink, but then it has got a whitish color. So Bana says it is ripe cucumber color. And they were given those pothis as a gift in the group bunch of things that was gifted to Harshad from Bhaskar Varman. And Bana also mentions carved boxes of panels for painting with gourd containers holding bamboo brushes. Gourd is वो दूधी का हम लोग बनाते हैं ना, दूधी को सुखा देते हैं तो उसके अंदर it becomes like a pot. So that pot had a lot of brushes in it, bamboo brushes that were put in it. So that also forms a part of the gift. Now, Mr. Baur Thakur, the monk, he was talking about scripts. Now you all are in calligraphy talking about scripts. He said that Srimanta Shankar Deva, that I told you, the great person who's behind the culture of Assam, he did not use the Brahmi script. He used the Kayathali script, something called a Kayathali script. And he did not use the Brahmi. And he also mentioned a Khanikoria script. Khanikar means an artist, and Khanikoria script means a very artistic script made with flowers. So I think it is a flowery sort of a script. But Kayathali is a script, very ancient script, which Shankardeva used for his writings. The use of bark of aloe tree called hasipat is used for manuscript writing, and since very, very ancient times. The manuscripts are generally stored in handmade wooden boxes. Now, you all have shown me, so many people, so many of the speakers here have shown me books of calligraphy, and they are bound. But we can't bind the hasipat, we can't bind it. At the most, I've seen made a hole in the center and put a thread through it, and the center portion they don't write anything. They write on this side, they write on that side, and they leave the center portion open, and they pass the thread through it, and so that they bunch stay together. But generally, I have seen all these hasipat kept in a cloth, wrapped in a red cloth, and put into a wooden box. And even the box is very beautifully painted. In Assam, Shankardeva was very much harassed by the Ahom kings. They did not like him to preach. So he had to escape from Ahom kingdom and come to the outside kingdom where Naranarayan and Chillarai, they were ruling. And that is where we call the Koch Bihar area now. And there only he did all his practices and established his religion, because he could not go deeper into Assam because the Ahom kings were very hostile to him. So he had invented this method of giving the culture to the people, and he wrote all these books. There was one, the king had asked Shankardeva once, Srimanta Shankardeva, that you write the Bhagavad Puran in short form. I want it in short form, as short as you can. And Shankardeva, believe it or not, he said that he worked overnight and he condensed the entire Bhagavad Puran into a small booklet, and the book was only this much high, and in the palm of his hand he could fit the entire box. That small he made summarized the entire Bhagavad Puran. It is not there now, it's missing, but it is mentioned in his life biography that he actually did this, and the writing was very fine. He did it overnight, and all the 10 books of the Bhagavad come into that. And on top of the wooden box that he made, he drew a buruka. Buruka is a lime pot when they have a lot, Assamese have a lot of pan and they want the chuna. And the chuna is contained in a lime pot. That is, there is a terracotta pot and it is like a matka, a small matka. So that is called a buruka. So he named the book बुरुका हाथी, यानी हाथी को हमने बुरुका के अंदर डाल दिया. तो बुरुका दिखाया, ड्रॉ किया बॉक्स के ऊपर और उसके अंदर एक हाथी ड्रॉ किया. तो हाथी को पूरा को उसने बुरुका में भर दिया, ऐसा उसने डिपिक्ट करके फिर वो गिफ्ट उन्होंने राजा को दे दिया नेक्स्ट डे. So that was a great thing which he accomplished, that the entire Burukha he has condensed in that one. Actually, when he decided to write or give the Bhagavad Puran, use the Bhagavad Puran as a what do you call it, preaching to the people, Krishna Bhakti he taught. He did not have a copy of the Bhagavad Puran. He did not have a copy. In a dream to a man, to a Pandit in Bhubaneswar, what do you call it? That Bhubaneswar, he got a dream that you take the Bhagavad Puran now, Jagdish Mishra, take the Bhagavad Puran now and go immediately to Assam and give it to Shankar Deva. So next day he left, we picked up the Bhagavad Puran and he left and he went to Assam. He gave that Bhagavad Puran to him. He said, I just got it in my dream that I have to give you, so I have given you. So that was how he got an original copy of the Bhagavad Puran, and then it was copied and copied and copied by so many people in the manuscripts. Now I must tell you about the what Pathakji told me. He told me about the water, how water is collected for painting, because you require water, right? So that water, he says that we have to collect on a soria, that is a basin, cover it with a nice clean cloth, put a stone in the middle and keep the whole basin out to get the sky water falling into the basin. And that sky water should be collected only in the later part of the rainy season, in the cold, when the cold sets. After that only Ahun Mas, they call it. Ahin, I don't know which month it is in English, September, I think. When the rain falls, at that, and the water collects there. That is the water which has to be stored for 1 year. So the water has to be very carefully filtered and stored. Then the pens which has to be written, how do you write? With what pens do you use? You use the Dhekia pon. Pon is called Dhekia, that one with the green leaves on sides. And that pon has to grow on the mountain. The mountain variety of fern has to be taken. Why that particular fern has to be taken? Because it has got 2 capillary tubes inside it. When you dip the pen in the ink and you write, you have 2 capillaries, more ink can be absorbed. So that is the particular fern that you have to take. Then I have written about the process of treating the hasipat. Hasipat is to. By the way, I have made this picture of Shankar Deva writing. I drew it. I used Camlin colors, of course, and they carefully trimmed the size of the hasipat, and then they put urad ki dal ka paste on it. Urad ki dal ka paste, so that to fill up all the small pores and make it absolutely non-porous. And then they have to rub it. It takes 6 months, I told you, to make it. The colors. Now, colors are blue, blue and yellow and red. So, blue is very easily available in India because of the indigo color. It's very easy to get, and we get indigo. So I asked him, how do you get the yellow color? The yellow color, he says that we get it from, there's a mineral, I have seen a lot of pits being dug in Assam. You get this yellow colored mineral, yellow chrome color, nice bright chrome yellow, which is available under the soil in some places, which they can easily procure. I said, what about red? Red is obtained from cinnabar. Cinnabar, I got a piece of cinnabar from him. Can you see?
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
It's a cinnabar. I took it from him. At that time, I said, please give me one, give me one. If you rub it, red color comes. Even though it looks very silvery, it's like a silvery stone, it's very heavy. I think it's the original ore for mercury. I'm not very sure, but mercury oxide is this red powder which comes from it. They use the red color, and the yellow is there. So basically white is again available locally. It's not at all difficult to get white, he says. But it's only this cinnabar that you have to get it from the Nepalis. The Nepalis bring it from the mountains, and when the Nepali comes, we have to buy it from them, otherwise we don't get it. So they have to procure all these colors and then make it. So that is the trick behind the writing. And
Madam, how much time more it will take?
just 1 minute more. There is
Okay.
nothing
Okay.
else.
Okay. Please. Yeah. Thank you.
I want to talk also about the last one is the Tulapat. Tulapat is another paper which is actually not used for scripture writing. It is the bark of the Neluka tree is chopped up into bits, dried and powdered. Then the powder is boiled in water and it is left in the water itself overnight. And next morning you will see that the paper is floating on top. And you pick up that paper and then you dry it and flatten it out. And that's your paper. That is used for very cheaper writing, like if you're writing horoscope or pushti or something like that, or the Ahoms wrote history. They use that type of paper, but only the scriptures were written in this Khasipat. So that was what I wanted to say. I'm very, very grateful to those two gentlemen, Mr. Goswami and Mr. Borthak, who gave me all these information to include in my the small little article that I have written. And thank you all of you to listen to me
Thank you.
patiently.
Thank you so much.
Very
Yes,
much.
great to hear you. Yeah. So the third scholar, we have Dr. Nirupama Singh.
Namaskar, sir. Respected all ma'am and sir, and my dear students. Sir, can I
Nirupama,
share my screen?
Yes, of course.
Okay. My topic is Indian calligraphy and art of writing in 4 paintings of Rajasthan. In this, I am focusing on the recent subjects illustrated by the contemporary artist of Bhilwara district, Rajasthan, Kalyan Joshi, that narrates a visual storyline through Indian calligraphy in the paintings. The art of writing is calligraphy. Actually, calligraphy is actually an art of writing and gesture bumps into painting and has evolved over the years and moved a long way from writing on dried palm leaves to clothes and paper. It utilizes the traditional tools of the artist, including pen and ink, or we can say brush and paint. Earlier, the calligraphy work in India was found in Devanagari style, lipi of gold, we can say. Manuscripts mainly in Sanskrit and Hindi, Prakrit language, used by the artist Kalyan Joshi. Indian calligraphy is the Indian tradition of calligraphy, took off starting around 2nd century BCE. But the objective of writing is to communicate predetermined meanings through standard forms of language that can be portrayed in the paintings by the artist. To elucidate the theme, the art of writing has evolved over the years and moved a long way from writing on caves, stone, leaves to now clothes and a paper. Words very old narrative art with Indian calligraphy from none other than the Joshi family in Bhilwara district of Rajasthan. They had been engaged in creating two most iconic stories of Babuji and Devnarayan for last 700 years. The large horizontal paintings on cloth portraying the epic lives of the local hero gods are popularly known as fur painting. In contemporary times, the fur paintings have brought new approach to fur encompasses Indian calligraphy in fictional short of Sanskrit shlok and Hindi quotations. The art form has served as a basic communication that portrayed the work of art. These fur paintings throw lights on the religious texts and contemporary scenario, which works as one of the most frequent vehicle of Indian calligraphy. The style and the colors used for these paintings were traditional in manner. Even the process of filling colors into the drawing was the same as earlier. In the starting, after drawing, we should use beige color was applied in the first stage. The color of the skin, you can see on the slide also, sir. Then comes yellow for the jewelry and the green for the dresses and ornaments, brown, red, blue. Finally, the most delicate black color for the outline of all the figures. Artist also traces the timeline, amalgamation of the modern uh, day stories narrating the old school stories also. Every available inch of the cloth is crowded with the figure. Another similarity is flat construction of the pictorial space. While the figures are harmoniously distributed all over the era, the scale of the figure depends on the social status of the character they represent and the role they play in the story. Another interesting feature is that figures in the paintings don't face the spectator rather than they face each other. These paintings are very wide to accommodate the numerous episodes of the complex stories. Mm, I can show the artwork of the artist Kalyan Joshi on the screen. He painted Hanumanji in the seated position. Hanumanji is one of the central characters of the Ramayana, Hindu epic. Some of the prominent scenes of the mythological epic Ramayana is painted over the body of the Hanumanji in the immediate surrounding of the Hanumanji. Artists wrote Doha have been seen from the Hanuman Chalisa. श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज नीच मन मुकुर सुधार बनरो रघुवर विमल जसु जो दायक फल चारि. He highlighted this part in the painting. This Doha means the word Shri, which refers to the Shiva, who is considered the Guru of the Hanuman. Artist Kalyan Joshi says that the style has persisted identically in the sense of making. Artists are using cloth, but nature is just same. Only the subjects have changed according to the time. Next, his painting Nandi. Nandi is a Vahan of Hindu god Shiva. Nandi is painted in the sitting position using Sanskrit calligraphy. Rudra Tam Joshi, written in background, seated Nandi looking at God signifies and convey the meaning that purpose of the life is to compare on one-onness of all creation and one's identity with the divinity. Rudrashtam is a devotional Sanskrit composition based on Lord Shiva, which consists of 8 stanzas narrating the several qualities of the Shiva and the deeds of the Shiva. For example, destruction of Tripura, inhalation of Kamdev, etc. The symbols and motifs are related to the life and the deeds of the Shiva, or we can say Rudra. In the next painting, Chopad. We can see artists depict Raja Rani playing Chopad, a traditional game of Rajasthan. He made this painting during the lockdown when everyone are stuck in the houses, and then he made this painting. He adds calligraphy, घर में रहें, स्वच्छ रहें, मस्त रहें, and हंसते खेलते गाते रहें in the bottom of the painting that can clearly visible near the knees of two persons. At the top in the yellow strip, he wrote, थोड़े समय की सामाजिक दूरी जीवन भर मिलने के रास्ते खोल देते हैं, which means if we will maintain social distancing now, then we can live with the family and friends in future life. One can clearly see many acts related to the life of Shiva. Shiva encapsulate on the body of the Nandi. Next, Nandi. This is already covered. Next painting on COVID-19. The artist depicts spread of COVID-19 and the lockdown settings. In the right side of the bottom corner of the painting, the story unfolds from the time of coronavirus when it was first dedicated in China, Italy, Britain, how it spread throughout the world, finally reaching India through airlines. There are the scenes from airport that showed how travelers are screened. All the secrets were empty. Not a single person was allowed to come outside from the home. All the education institutes, tourist palaces, restaurant, movie theater were also closed. Only pharmacy and hospitals were open, where healthcare workers used to work by distributing masks, treating corona positive patients, taking care of animal and elder people, supplying food to needy people. At the bottom corner of the painting, left side, artist also painted the people who are lighting diyas, showering flowers, petals, and the clapping hands for the gratitude to frontline workers of the country. This painting summarizes the life of the people in the pandemic time with some text written over there in each panel of the painting by the artist. The Hindi text of Indian calligraphy along with the traditional bird painting depiction had far more reaching effect on common people in understanding the ideology of the safety precautions during COVID-19. The artists have incorporated social distancing parameters along with the artistic mask in order to modify its composition of crowded forms. And I come to my conclusion. India is known for its diverse scripts and languages. Hindi is the national language of India. Devanagari is the script using for writing. Calligraphy, with its variety of subjects portrayed in the fur, with its liveness and the originality of arrangement, has been a popular element in many graphical projects. Artistic storytelling has been documented in the form of Sanskrit shloka and Hindi quotations. Kalyan Joshi is an artist based in Bhilwara district of Rajasthan, India. He is widely known for his expressive and experimental calligraphy using the Indian Devanagari script in his fur painting. From last 2 years, 2020 to till date, I review evidence on the empirical exploration of effects of the story portrayal along with the Indian calligraphy on how it enables people to become more empathic and how foregrounded calligraphy encourages spectators to recognize the significance of event and what should be depicted by the artist as well. Painting of Kalyan Joshi is characterized through design of neat and calligraphic lines with its tradition of conveying meaning beyond the objective into the realm of the unknown. It is no wonder then that calligraphy has appealed to so many abstract artists, especially those concerned with the communicative power of gesture and line. Indian calligraphy used in painting should convey something metaphysical. So that's all about my work.
So you have done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So I thought to ask you some ideas. Professor Manohar Joshi, it was wonderful presentations. I wanted to ask you that this is the time of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. So how you are seeing today calligraphy?
Definitely, I agree with your point. The artificial intelligence is the boom for the today's industry, where the medical and many industries, they are taking advantage. Similarly, the old manuscripts, what we have as a large collection in various kinds of libraries, if we specifically feed the particular letter characters in the system, and if those systems helps to read these manuscripts independently to someone who is staying in other part of, then that may be the golden day of this manuscript, where one can easily read the Bhagavad, Ramayana and Mahabharata independently.
To entire world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. And I want to ask you, you were talking about some matras and all. So normally matras, what in my mind, it is on music. So now you are talking about calligraphy also. So this music, this calligraphy also connected with the music
Yes, sir.
in the tradition.
Definitely. As Professor Viren highlighted, that if you consider letter as a form, then that would be an enjoyment with the music also. When you render
Exactly.
Om, and when you stretch the Om while chanting Om, that chanting itself possible
It
to
reflects.
stretch with the letter stroke. So that way, I
Exactly.
think calligraphy is connected with music.
Yes. Actually, I do some experimental drawings while hearing music. So I thought thought to ask you. So thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much. Wonderful presentations once again. So I thought to ask to Radha Sinha. Thank you so much for introducing Shankar Deva and the literary and other calligraphic tradition of Assam. So thank you once again. Anybody wanted to ask about to Radha Sinha? Professor Desai, you wanted to ask something to her?
Yeah, definitely the words what she used as the technical words were really helping me. The
Yes.
Tulapat and all, these are really informative things what today I came to know. I read some articles, but definitely her paper will be an help for us to collect the information which is with the technical words.
Thank you so much. So Nirupama Sinha, she already introduced Fad traditions and Kalyan Joshi.
Yes, sir.
Really thankful to you, for your presentations.
Thank you, sir.
And yeah, so we don't have much time actually, so we should conclude now, just to hand over to the next sections. We will meet again after pandemic. Do come to Banaras.
Okay, sir.
Thank
Fine.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Same here, sir.
Jangid sir.
Thank you.
Jangid sir. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for
Thank you.
chairing the session. And it was such a wonderful session, providing such informative uh, talks. So I would like to thank all the speakers and as well as for your coordination. So thanks a lot, sir.